right, intermediate potters, here we go. Our next lesson is going to be altered casseroles slash trays, however you decide to use it. So I am going to show you the demo now. All right, you're gonna get your clay centered just like normal. Now for the tray or the casserole, you are gonna throw it without a bottom. And so you need to bring this hump of clay, flatten it out all the way out as far as wide as you want it to be. You have to do that by keeping it on center, which can be a little bit difficult. So here we go. And I'd imagine that you're gonna make a few of these. I'm on my 5th one. My first one got messed up. The next one was a little bit better. So, you know, like anything else, it takes some practice. So I'm widening the igloo out. Now, when I'm doing that, I'm transferring the clay from this hand. So right now I'm using this hand. And then I kind of transfer that down to this hand. You don't want to roll the clay over like with a mushroom. You want to make sure that it's coming out this way, not coming down and around. Since we're throwing these without a bottom, normally on a typical pot, you would have the floor to make sure that it's holding onto the bat. But in this case, we're not going to have a floor. So the only thing that will be holding onto the bat is that tiny ring of a wall. We also have the big black bat if you want to use that to make even larger ones, which you'll see I've done in the studio. Now, depending on how much clay you're using, at some point I like to start using my fist here to bring that back. Make sure that you don't let your clay get sticky, otherwise this will get off center. So I'm bringing that clay back like so. Again, I don't want this to mushroom right here, so I'm going to make sure that I'm pushing that down on the bat. Now, depending on if you're making a tray, you're going to essentially throw like a really short cylinder. A casserole, depending on what you're doing, can be a little bit taller. Things that I learned yesterday while I was making these was it works best if the wall of your pot is straight up and down. So here I go. I'm going in the middle. I'm pulling that out. You have to be careful not to pull past where your igloo was, otherwise this wall will just pop right off the bat. Just cleaning that clay up, making sure I don't have a skirt on there. And then you're going to start pulling. So again, you can play around with different shapes, but I have found that the most successful way was to pretty much just make this go straight up. Now, it's important that you don't have a really thick bottom here. So your guys' assignment is to do your casserole or your tray, and the one objective is that it is not round when you're done. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll out a cylinder after we throw this. Let the cylinder and this pot dry just a little bit. Did I say cylinder? Slab. We're gonna roll out a slab. We're gonna roll out a slab for the bottom. Then we're gonna cut this off the bat. And then we will change the shape, however you wanna change the shape, and then you'll slip and score it onto the slab. So I'm just gonna kind of clean some things up here. I'm gonna keep this one really basic. You'll see in the studio I did some alterations on some of the other ones. So there you go. There's your bottomless short cylinder to make a casserole or a tray. I'm going to show you some of the other trays that I made yesterday. So I made this one, super short cylinder. I pulled some handles using a slab and then pulling them. So there's one option. All right, intermediates. This is one that I threw earlier. I cut it off the bat, and I'm just kind of shaping it how I want it shaped. I have a super big slab here, so I have put it over to the edge, so maybe I can use this part of the slab for another one or a couple more. I'm going to play around with trying to get some more definition here. Just, I mean, it's really just trial and error. You guys know that. I was thinking this would actually be a really cool planter. So once I have that done, I am going to trace the inside and the outside with my needle tool so that I know where to slip and score it. I will say, you know, this is probably about the 5th one that I've made. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've learned from each mistake. Doing a more complicated shape like this one, I don't think I could have done that successfully the first time, but now that I have a little bit of experience, I'm going to give it a shot. So move that aside, and then you're going to slip and score. Okay, so I've slipped and scored that. I've just kind of smoothed it out with my finger, not adding a lot of slip. And now I'm going to carefully cut around. I'm going to go back in and kind of clean it up so I'm not too concerned. All right, you guys know how I feel about undercuts. I'm going to show you how to do an undercut on your tray. Okay, so I just take a metal knife and hold it at a really good angle. This does take some practice. Can you even see anything here? And go around creating the undercut. Make sure that you cut this undercut in. So now we can see it's kind of raised up. We have that cast shadow right there. So don't forget the undercut. All right, so there you have it. There's your next project. A couple things to remember. They cannot be a circle in the end. As soon as you can get them off your board and onto a cart, that would be the best so that that bottom can dry. It's difficult because we need that slab, the top and the bottom to be drying, and if it's on a board, that bottom's not getting dry. So as soon as you can get it transferred, please do that. All right, I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Also note that I think you guys know well enough that the first one might be okay. The second one will be better. The third one on out, you'll keep developing as an artist. So feel free, you will only be turning in one for assessment, but make as many as you need to get to the skill level that you want to be at for assessment. All right, have fun. Can't wait to see what you come up with.